Can you share some memories about Pac? Um, thoughts or reflections?
Um, man, uh, man, I got a few memories with Tupac. Uh, Number one, Pac was always my interaction with him was just it was always he was always jovial and happy when he to I don't to see me. He was always happy when we saw each other.
Right.
And initially, we knew him through Digital Underground and Money B and Pac used to hang out a lot. Shock G. We actually, King Tech and I actually opened up for Digital Underground at a club called the Omni in North Oakland once. And after which, our first drum machine and keyboard we ever bought was from Shock G from Digital Underground.
Right.
And Shock G really wanted to take Tech out on the road. And he talked about what he had, what his vision was. And he's like, and we got Tupac and we got Money B. And, this was early on. So not if you didn't know Pac, you didn't know Pac. I knew him as an artist. And Tech ended up not going, but we all stayed cool. And Pac would come up to the show, to the Wake Up show, and want to spit. And we just never, initially we just made people pay dues, man. I don't care. You got to wait.
Right.
Just because you wanted to, you got to wait.
Yeah.
If you seem too, like you really wanted to, I was kind of a, man, we'll get to you. So each time, it was like, and Money B was telling me recently, yeah, man, Pac used to always say, man, how come you ain't interview me? How come you ain't talking to me? And then finally the time came, and Pac came up on the show, and I'm trying to think of which album it was. First he played us his album. Name some early albums.
The first album was strictly for my
It might have been strictly for my ends.
inwards.
Yeah, it might have been that. It might have been that album. We start going through songs and picking out ones that we like, and Tech would play on the show. And so we had this common denominator, as performers and stuff. And Digital Underground started blowing up, man. It was incredible to watch them guys really do what they do. They were different they were a hip hop band, man. Before people didn't realize it, and so afterwards, Pac became, more Pac, more famous. But he used to have this apartment over by Lake Merritt in Oakland. And man, I remember the first time I went over there was a lot of guys hanging out in the apartment, and I didn't understand. Okay, what are dudes doing? We worked so much that I was like, what's hanging out? When everybody was hanging out, we were sitting around the living room. And all of a sudden, Pac just started talking while everybody was sitting. Oh, this is interesting, So he's talking, moving back and forth around the living room. I was like, oh, okay, this might be a moment, man, the dude energy never slowed down. So it went from, I'm trying to tell you right now, man, if y'all don't see what's happening right now, then that's a product of this environment. We need to wake up, this way we're hanging out right now, the way we came together, this is power. If you was by yourself, you don't have as much power as him being on the couch, him being on the couch, him being on this couch. So with this power, if we want something to change, the best way we going to do it is together. I'm like, man, dude, we're young when this is happening, like teenage young. And I'm listening to him, and that's like all this information coming out of him, all this consciousness coming out of him. And when I say consciousness, it wasn't consciousness in the sense of peace, my brother, Hotep. It was conscious. It was awareness of how things worked, and it was very precocious in the sense that he was ahead of his time, and he was visualizing things. He was teaching dudes who knew basic math, trigonometry, but he did it in a way that he felt like, I gotta tell y'all this now, and so I kind of watched it back and forth and decided that, man, this dude is really truthful about uplifting his people. You know, and man, I sat at his house for I don't know how long and just listened to this, in retrospect, this young man talk. Because when he died, what was he, 24, 25? 25? So that happened, he might have been 20, 21, something like that. You know, and we're listening to this. So fast forward, the last time I saw him was, I don't even, he died in 96, September 96. So I might have saw him in the summer, maybe August, I don't know. And we did this interview. And Layla Steinberg, who was managing him at the time, I've known Layla for years. She manages Mac Mall now. And Layla and I and used to do this education program. Pac used to do it too. We'd go around the Bay and talk to kids in high school, because I was on the radio at the time. Talk to kids in high school about the importance of education. Even if you didn't seek higher education, you could still keep educating yourself. And she said, Pac want to talk to you. Yeah, but you got to sneak on the set. How do you want it? I told this story before, but we snuck on the set of How Do You Want It, and we started having this conversation, and then I started thinking, man, I feel like, so for it was dealing with all the stuff that was happening, turmoil in the business, him being shot, Puffy, and every rapper on the East Coast, not the East Coast itself, but the business. Yeah. And how he was wronged, and how he felt like people be putting up farces, and but he also started talking about music, how he wanted to use his music to change the pendulum, have it swing towards, right now I'm telling you everything you want to hear, but after I get, I want to make the hardest album ever, then after I get them all listening to me, I'm going to tell them everything they need to hear. And that was his goal, is what he told me. And when I was looking at him tell me this, I was like, man, this is the same dude I was with 5 years ago at his apartment in Oakland 4 or 5 years ago, saying, yo, he ain't never lost step. So now he got power because he got visibility, he got money, he got influence. He never lost step. Last thing he said to me was, Sway, man, I gave that to you so you could give it to, because I asked him, is there anything you don't want me to put on this? And he was like, nah, Sway, I gave this to you so you could give it to the world. That was the last thing he said to me. Yeah. And that ended up being one of his last interviews. I don't know if it was the last or not. I don't even care. But that was one of his last interviews.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So look at who he was at his age in that time period. Look at our artists today.
Hello.
And for younger artists to not understand why we all have such high expectations, because we come from a tradition of excellence. And our high expectations aren't just of them, it's of ourselves too. I have high expectations of myself. So why wouldn't I have that for you? It has nothing to do with your age. I have high expectations for my uncles. It's just that you have a brilliant platform to do a whole lot with. In between some of the partying, man, just drop a gem on those that you affecting right now in a party kind of way. Right. Hey, man, we going to turn up, it's lit. Turn up, it's lit. Don't drink from that cup, though, if you don't know what they put in it. With anything, you could, hey, turn up, it's lit. Turn up, it's lit. Hey, man, no need for that gun. Leave that gun at home. We partying, but whatever. You could say anything, do anything, but don't treat this like it ain't shit, like it don't mean nothing to you.
Right, absolutely.
Because then that's offensive.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's disrespectful for those who came before you. And if you can't respect that, then you can't respect your grandparents. You can't respect civil rights leaders. You can't respect, people who died, and it ain't just a black thing. You don't respect yourself, and so anyway, that's my Pac story.